Yes, indeed, we are back for 2025. Welcome to Marvel Movie Talk, where we ask many, and I do mean many, important questions throughout the course of every single episode. The probably most important question we're going to ask today is, what if? But that is all in good time. Before we get into that, I want to welcome back for another standout year of Marvel Movie Talk, our returning champion, Katie Hampton. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm in my slanket. It's Friday. Fires are waning. Yay!
Yeah, that's the way we look at it. And of course, we do have someone who enjoys at home playing a copy of the home game, the one and only Eric the Duck, Eric Conner. Hello, sir. We can still say Happy New Year because it's our first show of 2025.
Oh, and the New Year has been so happy here in Los Angeles. Only joy, only frivolity.
No notes, no complaints.
No notes.
And when I say no notes, no complaints, of course, that brings to mind the one and only Mr. David Brody. Hello, sir.
Well, if you came for no complaints, you came to the wrong person.
Oh, well, how about this? Kame Egan, our friend.
Yay!
Wishing us a happy new year. And Kame asks, how close are you to all the fires? Eric and I live within a mile of each other, and Katie's a couple more miles away. Katie was a little bit closer to one of them than we were. We're a little bit closer to another one. Where Eric and I were, I'll speak for both of us because I'm appointing myself mayor of Burbank. It was just mostly air quality, which still isn't 100%. And Katie, you had a little bit more of an up and down. I wanted to use the term whirlwind, but I feel like that's inappropriate. But you had a little bit of a back and forth in terms of like, oh, everything's good. Oh my God, everything's not. Oh wait, everything's like kind of okay.
Yeah, we didn't sleep for a really long time.
Yeah.
It's been
the false
a week
alarms
straight.
were fun.
The false alarms are one thing, and then being 2 blocks away from evac zones is another.
Yeah. You guys didn't ask about me. I mean,
yeah, I know,
and we
won't.
Brody,
And we won't.
no,
Yeah.
How close are you to the fire?
I'm only like
The fire of the
3,000
glory.
miles from the fire. But the Jets fired their head coach, so that's a fire right there. So.
Well, we were actually asking
Mercy
about the fire in the kitchen of your nearest Wawa, and if they are indeed preparing hoagies year round.
Time.
Well, for the record, if you've been to a Wawa, and by the way, I don't live in Philadelphia, so we don't call it hoagies.
I have cousins in South Jersey. That is what they call
Yep.
it.
And I'm from Brooklyn. We call it a fucking hero sandwich. So pardon my French.
Exactly, a superhero sandwich is what you meant.
But thank you. But a Wawa, the chef uses a microwave. I'm not sure what stove or fire you're talking about. I hate to break it to you, Mr. Duck. Oh, it's fresh out of the microwave.
Oh yeah, just like Burger King. All right. Well, we're glad that everybody. We're all doing reasonably well. Thank you to everybody who asked. And for those of you who are Geekscape regulars, you may know already that we did a stream a few nights ago to support our friend Dustin from $2 Late Fee, who he and his wife did actually lose their home. They evacuated for a wind advisory, and while they were there for a wind advisory, a fire actually basically took everything that they own. So we did a stream for that the other night, and I will give you the website to find out more about that, but I don't want to give it incorrectly. So I will do that in a moment. But I will make sure that we let everybody know what that is. I believe it's Geekscape Gives, but again, I don't know if I want to be wrong. But what we're going to give all of you is a look at something we can all agree on, and that was actually not that is not the thing that we wanted on the screen there.
Whoops.
That is from
Geekscapegives.com, though.
That part's right. Yeah, see, that's what I was looking for. Yeah. But that one, I saw that one.
That one felt guilt.
That was for that one was for the holiday live stream. I think that was one of those. So now we're like, oh, we should really go in and clean up some of the banners is really what it comes down to. And Matt Kelly's going to be like, no, I'm saving that banner for next December.
Hope doesn't like Banner.
Thank you for that, sir. All right. So what everybody is, of course, in agreement on, and everybody's excited about, we did get a Daredevil trailer, and it was indeed a bone-crunchingly good trailer. And we had a little email thread discussing it. We get to see a lot of great things. I enjoy seeing Mayor Wilson Fisk sit down with the great Matt Murdock. It's not entirely unpleasant seeing
criminals can become politicians. Huh.
Yeah.
Sugar.
Well,
sugar water.
Yeah, this happened within the last decade or so. And Amazing Spider-Man was where I knew that this was happening. But if you saw, we talked about Echo right about a year ago. At the end of that, he's sort of like, Mayor Wilson Fisk. Yeah. I like the sound of that. It's kind of the way I remember it anyway.
And still not as corrupt as New York's current mayor. So
that, that's probably not true, but more likable than the previous mayor, Bill de Blasio. So you see it all comes in cycles. So there's a lot of fighting in this. We get to see Foggy. We get to see Karen. And
we get to see Bone Marrow.
Yeah. Well, we also get to see Bullseye again from season 3. And we get to see Frank Castle. We get to see a lot of great things, including White Tiger. I'm assuming, of course, everybody's seen it at this point, but we'll go in order and everybody share their thoughts. Katie, your thoughts on this trailer for the Daredevil Born Again. I was going to say the next season of Daredevil, but technically this is the first season of Daredevil Born Again.
Well, this is going to be fun to remember how to say all of that. But yes. This was very exciting. If you caught, Matt Kelly and I did a little very brief thing talking about it once the trailer came out. I was very excited and very pleasantly surprised by the amount of blood that we got in this trailer. Well done, Disney Plus. That's actually pretty impressive to me because this felt like a Red Band trailer. And I'm interested. I'm excited. The fighting looks amazing. Vincent D'Onofrio's looking great. Good for you, man. Looks like you went on a diet or something.
And he's not wearing that stupid Hawaiian shirt that he wore in Hawkeye. They already corrected that for Echo, but that to say I have no notes on the Disney Plus shows would be a lie. That was a huge one. But anyway, Katie, go ahead.
No, I mean, I'm excited. I'm curious to see how this goes. I mean, just opening with that first fight, it kind of looks very reminiscent of the iconic hallway fight. So I feel like they're pulling on our heartstrings for some of the action stuff. I hope that the storyline and the plot and everything follows through. Always great to see the Punisher back. I'm excited, but hesitantly so.
Yeah, I would say I'm a little bit less hesitant than other things. When they first were doing this series, they were not really going to have it be a continuation of the Netflix series. Karen and Foggy were supposed to get killed off screen before, like at the beginning of the first episode. So he was going to be going it alone. And then I think everybody was like, wait, why are we doing all of this? It was like, new management comes in at your job or at a radio station or really anywhere, and it's like, well, I got to prove that it was worth hiring me, so I'm going to change everything. I'm going to fire everyone.
Right.
Eric Conner, your thoughts on this trailer for Daredevil Born Again?
Well, I have been in the middle of a Daredevil marathon because Matt Kelly enlisted me to do like a summary of all 3 seasons.
Yes.
And so this is, for me, like I only watched I think the pilot before. So this is, I've been all about bones breaking and blood and the wonderful world of Netflix Marvel. And it's great to see that the trailer, it doesn't look like a Disney Plus trailer. It very much looks like it's in keeping with.
And by the way, Disney Plus, that's a compliment.
It is a compliment, and it's a weird one to have while Netflix is doing all the things that they're doing. But
I mean, I still want Miss Marvel's family to show up somehow.
Sure.
Do a couple of scenes in Jersey City and let them show up, but don't bloody them, don't break their bones. They're very sweet.
No. Yeah.
We love them. And this is I think Disney Plus is realizing, like, for their material to kind of keep working, part of it is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Like, getting rid of two beloved characters, probably not the smartest move. And I'm glad they course corrected. I'm curious how those scripts are going to play out, considering that was a rather late change. So to me, it's like, oh my God, they're going to have to,
I'm pretty sure they
shoehorn them into a lot of scenes.
I think they completely rewrote everything that they had up, because this was supposed to come out some time ago. So they I think scrapped pretty much everything. What were you going to say, Katie?
It's just interesting to me that in our trailers we only see them towards the beginning. We don't see any other shots of Froggy and Karen the entire time. So I'm hoping it's not just like hey, they're here. Whoops, somebody killed them.
Yeah.
Kind of like solving that mystery. But
Daredevil starts a new firm, and maybe his friends might stop by to say hello.
Exactly.
Yeah, it has a little bit of that feel. I hope they are given the real estate they deserve. We most of our chat thread was about broken bones. So many broken bones, so much blood. And that's the fun, right? Daredevil, like, I mean,
that part.
He seems to be a little more open to killing people than some of his compatriots. Like, that guy's neck is very broken in that one moment. So carry on, Daredevil. You're earning the back half of your name.
And by the way, Daniel Drew with the question, are the bank robbing people supposed to be specific villains? I couldn't tell. Daniel Drew, if you didn't recognize them, I think there's no chance. I was going to ask you that question, but instead I will ask Mr. Brody your thoughts on the trailer for Daredevil Born Again.
Well, I've been very busy as well, waiting for my phone to ring, but Matt Kelly has not called me yet. I have not heard from Mr. Kelly. Yeah,
he didn't call me.
So
it's weird. I gave him your number and everything, and I said, I know he's home right now. Why aren't you calling?
It's weird. Every time Matt goes to dial your number, he just keeps hitting a bell.
What?
Oh man, you get a bell.
KL5 so Brody.
There is
operator. Give me Algonquin 64673.
Hello, ringy dingy. 2 ringy dingy. 3 ringy dingy.
Nice.
There is so much blood and bone breaking that the plus sign in Disney Plus should be the Red Cross symbol. That's how much blood and gore.
Matt Kelly, that's what you would have gotten if you'd called Brody.
Mr. Kelly could have had that kind of level of. As far as I'm concerned, it's the 4th season of the Netflix show. It looks exactly the same. I couldn't be happier. I know that they want to rebrand it, so you don't have to pay the actors that 4th season kind of money. Which is what the Walking Dead did.
Disney is the one who invented that. Oh my God, the Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. Yeah. Oh, you guys live on a cruise ship. You guys live on a boat now. This is season 1. What?
Right. But you get season 1 money now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Bastards. Listen, bring on the hallway fights. Bring on the dark, gloomy looking scenes where you can just see flashes of arms going by. I was fine with all of it. It's exactly what, to me, it's even more Deadpool and Wolverine than Deadpool and Wolverine in terms of violence and action. And the Punisher is in there. I mean, it's everything I've wanted since the Netflix show ended. And it's such a breath of fresh air considering what they were going to do without Karen and Foggy. And now that they've put it, like, they listened, they heard, they brought Feige back, and they were like, oh, Feige, what would you do with this? So the trailer doesn't disappoint. I'm not worried about the show.
Like Foggy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Karen and Feige. Could have been Feige, the lawyer. This thing's going to be great. I'm just going to compare it to Echo, and already it's fantastic. So it's great.
All right. Well, there's other shows that you might compare. There's other shows you might compare it to that you would put this far in advance, but we'll get to
maybe
that.
An animated show we might talk about soon.
I'm just saying we might get to it. I'm just saying we might get to it. We don't know.
What if we talked about that?
Daniel Drew refers to that one guy's leg, and Kamala's father. I believe we saw a snippet of him in an earlier teaser trailer.
That is correct.
Don't go. Cam Egan had this earlier, which was great. There was no clothing stipend for Tommy Bahama shirts for Mayor Fisk. Yeah, look, if Tommy Bahama or Hilo Hattie or any of those places aren't doing product placement, Fisk is going to look like Fisk. So we appreciate that. So we are here today because we're excited about Daredevil. And by the way, everything you're talking about, it feels like a lifetime ago. In a lot of ways it was that I was doing episode by episode reaction shows to season 3 of Daredevil on Netflix over there at AfterBuzz TV with my buddy Z Anderson. And we couldn't have had more fun with that. And I was like, it'll just be a little while before we get more. And then I think the day after it ended, I think that was the show where they were like, no more Marvel on Netflix. And there was still a whole season of Jessica Drew yet to come. But anyway, neither here nor there. Excited for that and excited to be back here doing the show after a few weeks off and talking about they did the daily release schedule again for What If Season 3. What if the episodes came out daily at a time of year where I would have been able to watch them? I will never know. So I had to binge them all afterwards. At least 3 of us were watching the finale earlier today. Eric, how long ago did you finish watching season? It's only 8 episodes, by the way. Each one's a half an hour. You'd think that we were like, we were binging, I don't know, like all the seasons of Buffy or something. It was an 8 half-hour episode. We literally had 4 hours we all needed to collectively find.
Well, and I finished mine while making lunch right before 1 p.m. So it's very fresh. Very fresh.
By the way, I'm sorry. Daniel Drew's 100% right. It's Jessica Jones, not Jessica
and Daniel Drew.
Yeah,
Daniel Drew.
Daniel Jones, the New York Giants quarterback, formerly. So it's all very confusing. But Jessica Jones was supposed to be Jessica Drew, but they didn't want them to do that to the character. So in any case, we're all back in a circle. Eric just finished it. We all finished it today on this day. So it's good that we were doing this a little bit later in the day because I needed the time to finish up. And if you've followed our coverage of the previous 2 seasons of What If, my view is usually that there are episodes that I think are great. And I'm like, that one was really fun. I loved that one. And then the next episode, I absolutely hated it. Still, episode 3 of season 1, like, what if Michael Douglas was killing it? What if Hank Pym was killing everyone? Or something? It's still one of the worst half hours that I've seen. But I've seen Picard season 2, so I can't say it's the worst. I can't say it's the worst streaming series that I've ever seen. But it was terrible. I mean, there are times where What If is so bad that
this time
I hate it. Well, there were definitely times, and look, that's the thing with the 90s version of the comic book. The one that I always refer to is, what if Wolverine was king of the vampires? Oh, I know. I don't give a shit. So that's really what it would be a lot of the time. Would be like, instead of what if, like, do you give a shit if Wolverine was king of the vampires? The answer is no. But I feel like we need to have a ray of some sun, and hopefully there's positivity. And when I want sun and positivity, I go immediately to Katie Hampton. How did you feel about season 3 of What If?
Oh man, why?
Not why. What if?
What if Katie suddenly changed her tune and got depressing? It was hard to get through this one. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm a little bit over the ideal that the watcher can't really intervene because we've seen it happen so many times, and it all leads to his intervention anyway. So it's just like, I feel like we're running out of actual what if scenarios. I there was some stuff that I liked more than others. I did like when Agatha came in. I thought it was a very goofy, wild episode. I did not like the backup dancers because everything just felt AI adjacent. That was the thing that was one of the things that I really loved about this series in the very beginning, because I was like, oh, there's going to be so many different art styles. There's going to be really great like storytellers coming in, and a bunch of different writers that like, oh, what if we took it this way? What if that way? This season felt weirdly canned, and all for a purpose that kind of felt like, okay, I don't know. So I'm not really sure overall how I feel about this. I literally just watched the last episode a couple minutes ago, and yeah, I don't know.
Daniel Jones. Now I'm getting confused. Daniel Drew makes the point. A lot of Eternals love. Yeah, I did have that thought during the series that the only way that the stories of the Eternals are going to continue is in What If. Daniel also said that I think Marvel should have maybe shared a list of titles and had fans vote on the titles and just have those be seasons. Yeah, I think that that gets too messy, because then when the fans vote a certain way and you're like, oh, we don't really like that way,
what if BTS was in Marvel?
I mean, you talk about a ratings bonanza. Yeah, but he also thinks that they should have either chosen a sequential narrative episodes or standalones. Doing both is difficult. I think it works where sometimes you have standalone and you occasionally sprinkle some in, but I know what he's saying. 8 episodes is hard to not be consistent with. What were you going to say?
Right. Well, and we have Peggy Carter in like so many of like season 2 and in season 3 now, and it's like, okay, is this the Peggy Carter that we've kind of grown to know that is breaching different universes?
No, it's Captain Carter. Captain Carter is
Captain
different.
Carter.
Yeah.
Right. But like that's the thing that's like, it's hard to kind of find a common foot ground on, which I totally agree with you, Daniel Drew. Like I would like it if they were standalones or sequential. I do like it when they kind of dropped it randomly throughout season 1, where it was like, oh, that connects to that episode. Mm-hmm. But this one, it felt like it was all underlyingly connected, and even when we were supposed to potentially go to Doctor Strange's like branch off universe, but then we didn't. It was like, what are we doing now?
Yeah, it definitely felt like a little bit disjointed, and there were definitely episodes that I watched where, and I've said this in past seasons, the question wasn't what if, it was why. Why did I just watch that story? And I will tell you the same thing, that I got a shocked reaction from our fearless leader, Jonathan London. I was so excited that they were doing a Howard the Duck episode. And even when the concept is set up and you see the voice cast, you're like, they got everybody in this. It was so stupid and such a fucking waste of time. I was so angry because I love Howard the Duck. We were supposed to get a Hulu.
I'm defending that one.
You go ahead.
We were supposed
to get a Howard the Duck series from Hulu. Kevin Smith ran a writer's room. They broke all 10 episodes. I was very excited to finally get Howard the Duck. And I fell asleep during that episode twice, but I restarted it. Because I was like, no, I got to give it a fair chance.
How did you fall asleep with her voice?
Darcy. Man, I love Kat Dennings.
Kat Dennings is good.
She's got the more attractive voice of the two broke girls. Fight me on that. You cannot fight me on that.
Real Kat Dennings, quite the looker. Voiceover Kat Dennings talking to a duck and then singing Kiss songs, no good. No good.
That's Christian's nightly scroll.
I'm glad you did touch on the fact that I did like I Was Made for Loving You, which and they used multiple times in the Fall Guy movie last year. Yes. That song shows up several times. So I'm glad that song is being appreciated. Cam Egan, always one of our smartest members of the chat. I thought the Howard the Duck and Darcy episode was pretty meh. I'm worried for Marvel Zombies. I've always been worried about Marvel Zombies.
How can it be very meh?
I hate zombies. I hate
Net
zombies
Plus.
so much. And I know the show you used to do, Brody, based on it. I just find zombies so incredibly boring. They're my least favorite adversary of all the adversaries.
What about
People are
financial?
saying that they're the worst adversaries. Nobody loves them. The zombies are the worst.
Nobody knows
No.
zombies like me. I could have cured the zombie apocalypse in a day.
80s
Nobody
land
knows.
barons, Christian. Those are still the worst adversaries.
I do
Land
like-
barons
I
have
do
big
like-
models
yeah.
in their office.
Yeah,
It's funny. We were just doing an impression of a land baron. Anyway,
well.
I was just gonna say,
all
I was
right,
like,
you know
pace
what?
yourselves.
Here's the
It's gonna
thing.
be a long year.
Scariest 80s villain, of course, is Jeffrey Jones, both in Ferris Bueller's Day Off and the Howard the Duck
Offset.
film.
And then Offset.
Yeah, that has a little bit to do with it. Eric Conner, you seem to take umbrage, and that's
I'll defend the
stupid
duck.
Howard the Duck story. Yeah.
I will defend the duck. I thought
She
that
gave birth to an egg.
Yeah, I had so many questions about the biology.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, there's a
Because I
lot.
remember as a kid seeing Howard the Duck in the theater, and he gets in bed with Leah Thompson,
Right.
and I felt funny.
Oh, that's
you know,
foul. That's
it
just
got my
foul.
feathers ruffled, so to speak. And then they
I'm
go
gonna keep
further.
going, Brody, for that one.
Yeah, it was a poultry joke. I'm surprised I got such a
Oh,
reaction.
no.
Oh,
We not really, don't explain it. You know what?
Your goose is
All
cooked,
right.
Christian.
Thank you.
Oh, my God.
It's goose is cooked.
All right. Why
Duck
don't you
and covered, y'all. Duck and covered.
What am I trying to do here? This is insanity.
There's a lot more going on below the water than you can see.
Christian Howard's driven Christian mad in 2025.
Gone quackers. You're welcome.
Birds
all
of a
right.
feather got to stick together, guys.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. You know what? Cammy Egan did have this in on her own. That's a great minds moment. I just want to give her full credit. It didn't quack me up. It made me quackers. By the way, Daniel Drew is just loving all of this.
Good.
All right, Eric.
Jessica Drew,
Yeah,
thank you for listening.
That joke fit the bill. That joke fit the bill.
Ah!
I'm so happy about this.
Stay for the duck humor. We're gonna ride that train until it crashes into a wall. You know,
Tell me why I'm wrong, Teach.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm gonna go off Howard the Duck for a second. Sorry, guys, but
He's
I
flying
think
too
the
close to
bigger
the
issue,
sun.
and this, it flew away. What you brought up, Christian, previously with What If. So, some of the best What Ifs, it's about dominoes falling in different directions, right? So, I
Would have
got
loved
the
an
old
episode
collection
with
here.
Domino. That would have been great. She's a fantastic character.
And the problem is, it's like, okay, so what if Jean Grey had lived? That's a great What If issue.
The best one.
And in
What if
the end-
27?
Yeah, and in the end of it all, what happens is the world would be destroyed because her power is limitless, and if she's not in control, good night, Burbank. Everyone's gone. But
Ooh.
the problem is with these stories is there is none of that. There's no sense, like, the what ifs don't lead us down really a different, an alternate reality to our reality. They're just a complete alternate.
Yeah.
Because there's not like a moment where we saw in an earlier Marvel movie where Howard the Duck and Kat Dennings almost got it on, and got, cracked some eggs, as the saying goes. They never had that moment. So thus the moment, well, what if they actually bada binged? Well, that was a question only Christian may have asked in his pervy mind. Everyone else doesn't really think about it.
No, Eric has an unfair advantage over all of you because he's read my fan fiction. Okay. And let's be fair. All of my fan fiction involves Howard the Duck and another female member of the MCU. So Darcy is not the only character, but I just want to know, what would it be like? How would that interaction go? How, can they raise a child together? The thing about this concept of what if, and it goes through all 3 seasons really, is it's not really asking the question, what if? It's more of like what DC does as Elseworlds. So a perfect example is, an unnecessary story, but the Wild West one with Shang-Chi and Hawkeye is fine. I like that they had them. It was interesting. I didn't love it, but I don't know. I gotta look. I don't think I loved any of these 8 episodes. But it was watchable. It was entertaining. I like that the amount of voice actors, reprising their characters we got during the season. I do appreciate that when we get it. And
I loved hearing Storm's voice. That blew me away. I didn't know
that's the
coming.
high point for the season.
And one thing I'd also add that one thing that What If did well, the team ups are really fun. That's something, in other shows we've talked about, like how, as fans of the comic, it was always cool to see unlikely teammates, and I think like that was something repeatedly I found myself like enjoying. I even enjoyed the sort of odd coupleness of the Red Guardian and Winter Soldier.
The Red Guardian.
I think that gave me some hope for Thunderbolts. Like there's a real fun dynamic there. Yeah. So I think that's where it exists in a pretty kind of cool space. But yeah, you're right. What if is not the question it really asks.
No.
Well, like how about or maybe.
Yeah, like it definitely this season especially, it didn't feel like a what if. It felt like more like we're running out of ideas.
What were you going to say, Brody?
What if we ran dry? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about each episode or most of them, but I did want to reference the Red Guardian episode. The best thing about the Red Guardian episode was the 69 Charger, which when the car is the best thing about the episode. I thought the banter was fine, but here's the thing. It's what if the Red Guardian stopped the Winter Soldier from killing Howard Stark?
Yeah.
So he stops him from killing Howard Stark, and there's no ramifications of that. Howard doesn't go on to build a nuclear weapon that blows up the world. You don't see Howard again. That was a side note. It had nothing to do with the plot. It was a buddy cop movie episode. That was it. The Tony Stark, the Howard Stark thing was irrelevant. So I'm thinking the whole time, well, how is Howard living going to change the universe? It didn't.
Well, you had to brush off the rest of the title there because the full title was What If Red Guardian saved Howard Stark and it turned into The Last Boy Scout, which is basically what happened. So it turned into, it was a romp.
Play some rap music.
And I did enjoy watching the two of them together. But yeah, that's before the Howard the Duck one. That's episode 3. So that was when I was like, uh-oh, they're not really following the thread. I just because Storm came up and I'm talking about the voice acting, it is imperative that I of course mention that Alison Seeley Smith, who is the voice of Storm from the animated series plural, the fact that we had her, it was a great moment for a story that I probably wasn't necessarily feeling, but watching them together and hearing her as the Thunder God Storm, that was at least fun. But what were you going to say, Brody?
Well, as bad as the title of episode 3 was, the worst title was episode 1. What if the Hulk fought the Mech Avengers? I would love to know that, but he didn't do that in the episode.
It's fair.
He never fought the Mech Avengers.
Yeah.
He fought with them. He fought
Godzilla,
instead of them.
Yeah, Godzilla did.
Yeah, he fought Godzilla. He didn't fight the Mech Avengers.
By the way, also, exactly. And then they basically become Voltron, which,
I was like, oh, what if Marvel crossed over with Netflix again?
Right, exactly.
That was
what if they listened to their worst idea in the writer's room is basically what it felt like. And
what if
by the way, and I got vibes.
So go ahead.
Go ahead, Bird. No,
what if someone sees a clip of the show and comes up with a title that doesn't have anything to do with the show?
Right. I mean, this is where like fan fiction, you brought that up. Like, this is more fan fiction than it is what if. This is,
and I'm worried about the state of like fan involvement, especially when it comes to storytelling. It's like we really need professional writers in order to write this stuff. Like we need the people who wrote the comics. We need the people who work in the industry in order to write these stories. And it feels like a lot of this is more like, what if my really great idea that I pitched to Disney actually made it all the way through? And it feels like there's a lot less oversight in terms of like where they really want things going. And I don't know where that's coming from.
Fan feedback saved the Sonic the Hedgehog film franchise. So we have to remember that there are times. Oh, yeah, but still, it did.
And it does. And I'm not saying that like the fans have no part in this and they shouldn't. I think they should. But I also think that writers should be professional writers. And
Yeah. I think what they did was they wrote the entire series based on what voice actors were available.
Sure. That could be
because
it.
They clearly didn't, like, oh, we just happened to not need Captain America and Iron Man. No, they just didn't have those voices. So they just did, we'll use Peggy Carter because she's available.
They did. They just to push back a little bit on that. In past seasons, they had very decent sound-alikes for Spider-Man, and even in this one, they used comedian Matt Friend to be
Jeff
Goldblum. Yeah, so
fantastic as Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, no, because I've heard him as Jeff Goldblum before. So clearly, somebody was like, "Oh wait, I know who does Jeff Goldblum." Great. So that was fun. But
nice little coupon of an actor,
and it is kind of one of those things that you're kind of looking, and you do get so many different characters, actors reprising their character. Sorry, I mean the fact that we even had Josh Brolin. I mentioned Matt Friend. He's like one of the only ones not in that episode because we got Clark Gregg, Tom Hiddleston, and and then in the second one. We have Catherine Hahn, we have Kumail Nanjiani, Dominic Cooper as Howard Stark, James Darcy again as Jarvis. So that part's great, but that one isn't even a bad story. The What If Agatha Went Hollywood. But before I even watched it, do you remember what I texted you, Brody? I said, why should I care if Agatha went Hollywood?
Right, and I think my response was like, was there an episode in the comics, an issue in the comics where she almost went to Hollywood and then didn't? Right. But this is what if she did? I don't know where they come with an idea. Like, let's put her in the movies in the 50s, maybe, or the 40s, then have Kumail Nanjiani, and I just. The whole thing was a train wreck. Why weren't they in a pool doing synchronized swimming like Esther Williams?
I actually, I 100% expected that.
Yeah, I'm imagining that was cut. I bet there's a storyboard of that.
I imagine they didn't cut anything out, Eric, based on what we were watching. They cut nothing.
It was the hot dog of episodes, asses and all, basically.
And you're not wrong, Kemi. Again, it was Agatha all along. What were you going to say, Eric?
Yeah, and also I think again going back to What If Prime, like. These are questions we would ask, right, as fans. Like, well, what if Phoenix lived? What if Gwen Stacy didn't die? Right. Like, because those are curious things that, like, as when we geek out over these stories, those are questions like, imagine if this happened slightly differently. So they're asking questions no one asked. No one asked if Agatha, as you were saying, like, why do I care? Well, yeah, none of us were worried. I mean, my friend who directed Agatha probably didn't ever ask the question, what if Agatha went Hollywood?
Catherine Hahn never asked the question, and she's from Hollywood. She didn't even ask that.
And so thus the questions are like, they're not even close-ended. They just basically take the characters, just put them somewhere else.
Right. Or put them in a circumstance that no one ever really thought of, which like there was only like a couple of questions that I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting, I guess. But like, I agree. One of the ones that really kind of annoyed me was the Riri Williams episode where the entire time the Watcher's just telling us she's gonna die. I was like, okay, so if you're telling us this much,
keep fighting,
then I'm gonna be like, well, she's gonna live, and then it's like, oh, we have to ask the question, what if he intervenes again?
Well, yeah, but he's just like, he'd seen it enough times, and then he's
and it's funny because I'm getting a very similar feeling as the Watcher where I'm like, it's hard to watch this now. Like, I want to turn away.
You have to look away.
I intervene, maybe.
Well, yeah, and again, shout out that they have Dominique Thorne as Riri Williams. That is that is Dominique Williams is Riri Williams, or Dominique Thorne is
But we haven't even really gotten to know.
But that's not What If's fault. We were supposed to have had the show supposed to,
and I agree.
So that's happened a few times with this show where they thought that something was going to be out that it wasn't. They thought that we would get this after already having seen Sam Wilson as Captain America.
Right.
Because, when did you get those Happy Meal toys, Eric? Last summer, right? So that's
the wrong one. This is not Happy Meal.
Oh, no, you can't see my Loki sauce.
Oh, but it's kind of epically cool, though.
I kind of like it.
Yeah, but
look what's inside the Loki sauce.
The universe.
Universe of possibilities. Warning, do not allow to touch skin or insides.
If you put the Loki sauce on
Howard the Ball.
If you put Loki sauce on Howard the Duck, does it become duck sauce?
Well,
Wait, I have a bell over here.
Look at that. Speaking of duck, Eric,
where's that meme of Vince McMahon where he's just like, I should have that. So, speaking of memes and sound effects and things, what I feel like the title of this show should really be, before it says "what if," there should be that sound of like bubbling over bong water where somebody just took a hit and it's like, what if?
I would write
that's
the
really
shit
what
out
they're
of that.
asking.
I don't write that much anymore, but I would write the shit out of that.
What if Hawkeye rode the subway?
Katie, your next improv show, I expect this.
Okay, great. It'll be Korg all the way.
Oh yeah, it's definitely Team Korg. Brody, I did know that you hated this show because I saw your Facebook post. So I knew what you thought. There's a reason I went to you last. Was there an episode that you were like, okay, it was dumb, but it was at least entertaining? Or were you just in a furor the entire 8 episodes?
I thought the Winter Soldier episode had moments of levity. Again, the 69 Charger, but the banter was good.
Yeah.
Again, I kept waiting for Howard Stark to come back, or Howard the Duck. Either one of them would have been something, and there was no Howard in that episode after the first 5 minutes. I would say the last episode, in terms of the visuals, were good. The fact that Peggy Carter died was the highlight of the season for me. She's a nothing character. The fact that she's in every season and every episode, she's a nobody with no power. She isn't even a super soldier, really. Barely. She's terrible. Put a mask on. You're a superhero. Put a mask on. Your name's Peggy Carter. What kind of superhero goes by their real name? Peggy Carter.
So you mean the superhero? You mean the superhero Jean Grey? Is that who you're talking about? Whose code name for much of her career has been Jean Grey.
She was Marvel Girl at the beginning.
She was Phoenix, but then she was Jean Grey.
Yeah, because they had
What does it say in the titles of the X-Men 92 animated series? Jean Grey.
Jean Grey. Terrible. Also terrible. And she's died a couple times. So
yeah.
Peggy. Superheroes are not named Peggy.
I'm sorry. Her name's Margaret.
I'm detecting a real anti-British thing here.
Wow.
It is. We left them for a reason.
Yeah.
She's just a Captain America ripoff.
Xenophobia.
Well, so is Red Guardian. Red Guardian's a Captain America ripoff, but at least he had that same super soldier serum that Oliver Stone went to Russia to get. I think I'm remembering this correctly. Maybe my wires are getting crossed. He at least has super serum, though. I see what you're saying.
Peggy Carter got the super serum, didn't she? Now that I think
about
it,
Captain Carter did.
Yeah, Captain Carter did. Yeah, but it's too much of her. It's too much. Like it's her own show.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Haley Atwell needs to be call up and go, hey, I'm busy. I can't do an episode. Sebastian Stan has to be busy doing movies where he can't be like, I can't do the voiceover. I can't.
Well, Brody, did you appreciate?
Go ahead, finish your thought.
Yeah, I got to ask Tom Cruise. Hey, okay, he's in now. Sorry, guys. No, did Peggy? Okay, her face was starting to look a little like Jay Leno. I don't know if anyone else caught that.
You mean after he fell down the hill in Pittsburgh?
Yeah. In the middle of falling down the hill, I'd say. Like it didn't look like her, and it didn't look like her from other seasons. So I don't know. Were they mad at her? Like, are they like redrawing her out of? Maybe Brody got behind the drafting board and let her have it.
No, I don't know. I mean, I feel like she looked a little different. I mean, this character, they have really taken a liking to Captain Carter, and they went with it. Let's sort of we're talking about high points, and Katie, was there an episode that you were like, all right, this one was at least entertaining? Was there one that stood out of these 8 for you as you think back on them?
I did. I liked the Shang-Chi episode. I know a lot of people did not. I liked the last episode. I liked seeing them all working together, and I also thought, flashing back to Howard the Duck and her mom
and Darcy,
and Darcy. I was like, Kat Dennings, what's her name?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because we didn't get it. We didn't get who the duck character was. It was like, they needed that.
My favorite.
Is that who it was? I really didn't know. I didn't realize it.
By the way, shout out to Natasha Lyonne. You've come to the MCU, and
I love that she
Birdie was her character.
Yeah, I love Birdie. Birdie was great.
Doing her impression of Reba McEntire the whole episode.
That was odd. It was odd. But I liked that team of women. I would have loved to have seen them a little bit more, I guess. We didn't get a whole ton of them. It's also I don't know. Everything was always kind of like with a caveat. So I'd say I like the Shang-Chi and I like the last episode. And yes, I did like the banter with Howard the Duck.
What I liked about the finale, the 2-part finale, was that we got the return of the character we talked about from season 2, Kahori, the Native American character, voiced by actress Devery Jacobs, who is actually on camera as Echo's like best friend cousin in Echo. So she got to be 2 characters in the same stretch last year. I was glad, and I feel like we're gonna see some of that character. That's gonna be like Firestar, who debuts during Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, or to borrow a page from another universe, Harley Quinn, introduced in the animated series, and then they it took them a few decades, but then they went and put her on the big screen in just an absolutely terrible, awful movie, and also in Joker 2. Anyway, we have fun sometimes, don't we? So, but anyway, so and again, we've already talked about how Storm is in those episodes. So there's those aspects like, oh, this is fun, and it's interesting anytime that, because look, in the character timeline, the comic book timeline for Uatu, the Watcher, he does interfere sometimes. And
which is what we were all expecting, and it's what we've been expecting since season 1, when he was like, "Whoops, did that." Like, it's a cool concept, but it doesn't hold as much clout season 3.
Yeah, because he'd already done it, interfered, and things were better for it. So I was like, all right, well, we know he's done that. And then this is it's sort of like a minor one, like, I'm tired of Riri Williams dying, so let me encourage her to hide. And that's like, I would be really sad if that kid died on top of the train. Well, how many times did you watch the kid die before you saved him? Uatu,
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Eric Conner? What was the high point? It was Kat Dennings giving birth to a giant egg, which we all saw on Mork and Mindy. Jonathan Winters was inside the giant egg. We know.
Of course. Well, I would argue, once again, the backstory of the egg is my favorite part of any of these episodes, and the part we didn't get to see. And I that is the fan fiction I will be writing tonight, Christian.
Yeah.
Wow. I thought that episode, I will defend. I thought at least it was so insane that I kind of loved the chutzpah of it. I love that Howard the Duck speaks Yiddish. I mean, it's always good to be seen, right, David?
Howard.
Yeah.
The 1875. I don't want to say the wrong year.
72.
1872. I thought that was an episode I fell asleep. We were talking about when we were falling asleep watching this. I fell asleep during that, and I thought maybe it's not very good. And then I will rewatch the last third of it, and I'm like, okay, actually, I like where this went, because at least that one was rooted in character.
Yeah,
the team up was pretty cool. I love Bishop as a gunslinger. Actually, I think that's an interesting way to reimagine Hawkeye. So I thought that episode was fine. Agatha didn't bother me too much. I mean, I think, again, it's not a what if, but at least it was stylish. At least the acting, was good. But yeah, you're right. I think before, I mean, was it season 1? What if Doctor Strange lost his heart? Like, that's an episode I love.
Yeah,
great.
There's nothing close to love here for these. Like, there's some I liked. There's a lot of ones. I mean, I thought that first one, I watched it with my teenager Alex, and we both were like, what was the point of that? and he and I were kind of excited to sit and watch it. And then within like 5 minutes, we got really quiet, and then by the end of it was like, well, that was kind of a waste. And I think that was, a fair amount of these episodes. I felt like it was a little bit repetitive, even with the fights and with the battles. Like, there wasn't much differentiation between them, and as a result, like it's got much less special. Now, but I did like one thing about this. It gave me Spider-Man cars, Japanese Spider-Man feels, which I would be all over an episode that is Japanese Spider-Man.
Absolutely. That's a great what if.
I'm still as great as No Way Home was. I'm still just a little sad that they didn't figure out a way to get him in here. And they've had like basically this character in Spider-Verse, but that was when we really wanted to see him. And I think that that episode, to be the first episode, it really just, well, I have to say, I guess on the one hand, well, thank you for letting me know what I'm in store for, which was that. And I was like, all right, I mean, and it's fine. It's whatever. And again, what you can say about it is like, it's pretty cool. They had the voice cast, for so many of the characters, but there's only so many times that you can actually say that, and so I want to, and so, I mean, we've kind of gone through each of them. We've sort of talked about them. It is only 8 episodes. I felt like there was one that we hadn't really talked about, but I think that, because the Howard the Duck one has so much going on, like the Thor party in the beginning and, so what I wanted to say about the What If Agatha Went Hollywood episode is it's hard to not feel for Kamal Nanjiani, who went through an entire lifestyle change so he could get ripped and be a superhero in a movie that no one saw. And now he's doing an animated version of it where
there's no abs.
You don't need to do a single sit up. Yeah.
Who is an amazing comic, is a hilarious stand-up.
Yeah.
And then on top of it is a super nerd and finally got his break of being in a Marvel super, and then is kind of, I'm glad that he's still being able to do this character in different ways. That's awesome. It does suck for Kumail though.
No, absolutely.
I like him very much, and the character's fine. But at the end of that episode, when he's talking to Agatha, and he's saying, "But you love the movies, and it's what you want," and it would have been so much more satisfying if when he had her and she turned around, if she killed him. Right? Like, you don't know me, and then just went off into space.
I actually thought it might go that way.
Yeah.
That's what I was hoping for. Like, it was just such a cliche. This isn't what you really want. You don't want to be that person. And then she's like, yes, I do. You're not paying attention. And she kills him. That's how it should end. But it's Disney. I would like to see an episode of What If called What If Wolverine Fought Aunt May. That's what I want to see.
Aunt May kills him.
I was going to say, I want to think that. What if Aunt May beat Wolverine?
Yes.
Well, no, because Captain Carter will show up because she's available and she will save Aunt May.
Well, what if she was Captain May? Do you think that might help?
As long as she put a mask on her face, I'd be fine with that. Captain May Parker.
I did like when Carter did go with her shield through that monster's eye. That visual was pretty legit.
I was like, oh, she taking a note from Brie Larson's book of combat. I was actually kind of surprised that we didn't see Captain Marvel in that because somebody went through something with a shield.
Yes. Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah, Daniel Drew says, I thought Agatha was going to kill him.
Yeah.
And it would make sense for Agatha. It actually would be keeping in
it would be
with her character.
The same question that I have, which is like, what does Agatha have against other witches or other beings that are somewhat eternal? I feel like there was so much within that storyline that we could have explored even more. But then I got distracted by the AI dancers. It was just like, oh, why just animate them like real people?
Daniel does raise sort of an overall fundamental point. And thank you, Daniel, for I'm glad that we were able to do this at a time where you weren't teaching chess, because a lot of times Daniel's like trying to watch our show while he's driving, and I'm telling him it's okay, you just watch it later. But Daniel says, I think also that normally What Ifs should end in tragedy to show why the actual stories are important. Yeah, and I guess you can't do that for every show ending in tragedy. Yeah, look, I think if every single episode was like, well, yeah, because what if this happened? And this is what I didn't like about the 90s series. It turned into, well, if this fairly minor thing went differently, all of reality would be incinerated and everything would cease to exist. And I'm like, I don't think if Wolverine was king of the vampires, that's what would happen.
If even that we had, we were watching Uatu, seeing all of these tragedies, because like the what ifs are usually a very tragic turn of events than what we're usually seeing with our heroes actually succeeding and like saving the day. And it's like we can relate, I feel like, as a US nation, to seeing so many failure after failure after failure that like you have to get involved and like change something. If that was the take that they would have for Uatu in general, and like him seeing so much failure and so many people dying and so many heroes not taking up the mantle, then I would kind of understand that a little more. I would understand Uatu, like I would be rooting for Uatu to actually intervene, but I don't know, it didn't have as much meaning when he came in and like got involved again. And I was like, well, if this is the story you want to do, we've seen enough death and like failure.
Yeah,
we can relate to that.
Also, I'd like to see Uatu step in when the stakes are a little higher.
A little bit, yeah.
Like, Riri Williams was your breaking point. You willing to sacrifice being the watcher for Riri Williams, who gave up? She gave up. Like, what are you helping her for? She wasn't like trying to save the world and failing, and you pushed her a little bit. She had her back to the guy. She was like, I'm going to die again like I always do. But you're like, I'm going to break the watcher code for this.
But she didn't know that. It wasn't until the watcher says, like, fight back. And it's like, I mean, homegirl probably already had that inner voice. No!
Yeah, he doesn't.
You don't want to fight, don't fight. That's it.
Lift up your
Peggy
hand.
Carter lost her hand. Peggy Carter lost her hand and managed to get her hand back.
Well, I think it's
willed her hand back.
I think it's also a great allegory for people who are watching and don't get involved, and all it takes is to like turn around and just be like, no, we need to fight a little bit longer. It does have some kind of meaning, especially in modern day times, and especially speaking to women. Turn around and fucking fight. But apart from that, I don't know. I feel like we encountered another loss, and it's like, but
also, is that intervening when you're just saying fight?
It's not.
No, that's like you try to break up a fight by saying, "Hey guys, don't fight."
Come on, Rock! He's gonna kill you to death. All right, yeah. So that's a great comparison. He basically becomes Burgess Meredith.
Right, Burgess Meredith, fight Rock.
For our visual audience, I mentioned it.
Switch.
I felt like
Switch.
What I had to do was show. If I'm going to mention it so many times, I mean, if ever there was a book that needed to not be opened, it is What If number 24.
Okay.
What if Wolverine?
Shouldn't the Watcher have intervened there and said, "Gene, fight"? She can fight.
That's what he said. Bite.
I said fight. I didn't hear you. I had these big things over my ears.
Oh, I'm sorry, Watcher.
So it's there's a lot of times where that you've watched the final season, the final episode of a show, and there's a lot of different ways to feel about it. There's a lot of like, oh, okay, they had a good run, or oh boy, if only they had kept going a little longer. I didn't feel either of those things. I felt like they had already overstayed their welcome. And I know that this network of Geekscape has been very pro What If. I mean, I'm going to give the series all 3 seasons. That's probably a C-, because there are some that are so good. We didn't get anything. I mean, this season really dragged down the average, I felt.
Yeah.
And
unfortunately,
but what we have to always point out is that visually it's amazing. It looks great. Yeah. The show looks great. They have the voice cast, production, everything about it is fantastic, except for the script writing. That's just,
I can tell you how bad the season was. Do you have Daniel Drew's last comment, his long one?
This one right here about Hydra?
I'll tell you how you know the season was bad. There's not one XD fake sideways smile emoji in any of his comments, and there's one in every single comment he ever makes.
There's usually one.
Every comment Daniel Drew makes has an XD. Every one of them. Even if
Daniel Drew is a lot more positive than I am, but even
not one XD.
This broke him.
He can't.
It's true.
Yeah. He can't put an Arthur Fleck smile on his face.
Checkmate, Daniel.
Not one.
He's agreeing, by the way, but I do want to actually read this comment. So Daniel Drew said earlier, what if Hydra had won during Captain America 2? Or by the way, or Captain America 1? You know, those are great questions. I would like to say, what if Wanda became Sorcerer Supreme? I feel like I've read that, but what if Captain America killed Iron Man during Civil War? Or some stuff like that? You know, all of that would have been great. Those stakes are all very high and very interesting, and those are not the stories.
Christian,
that
I got one.
told. Yes.
What if the banker gave
gave
him the
Sam
mortgage,
Wilson the boat,
the mortgage?
Yeah, the
mortgage. To Sam Wilson. Oh my God,
yeah.
What
he
if
would have been in this costume by the end of that day?
Would he still be the Falcon? Would he?
By the way, the Riri Williams episode gave us the return of Emily Van Camp as the power broker. I was like, no one, underline no one asked for that. No one needed that, and Daniel's excited that the banker came up here. So yeah,
I will say I loved there's one moment that I did love. It was a small shout out, but it was a shout out to Madison. Where apparently
that actually legitimately
that made me laugh.
Hilarious. I would rather see it though.
I was like, Madison with two
N's and a Y,
and he's like, should have done it. But Awatu's reaction is just like, well. I thought that was great.
Madison.
They should have Family Guide it where they show the quick flashback and then come back.
I would have loved it. Even just like that one little nugget, but it was like, why did just like a passing note of what the Watcher did seem more interesting than what we saw this season?
See, I get saving Madison. I get that.
I get it too.
Right, you can risk the universe on that, but not Riri.
That would be the best filler episode. Is just following Madison.
I've risked more for much less.
Yes.
So,
what if Madison fought Aunt May?
And Eric, I know why you shared this, but why don't you explain why you wanted me to share?
I think the Red Guardian said "get her done" at one point. Am I right? Red Guardian said "get her done."
No, didn't Shang-Chi say that? I can't remember.
Someone said "get her done," and I'm like, "Oh, get her done." Yeah, that's Larry Cable. Guys, 98% of his jokes have that punchline.
Yep.
And there's Reba.
Here's the gal. Yeah,
there's Birdie. I did love that Corey came back. I was kind of shocked at how
look to Jay Leno. I'm telling you, look at that face. That is Jay Leno's chin.
Interesting.
I will die.
Yeah. Hey, did you see this?
You know who she looks like? Remember that the bald guy with the magnetic shards? And you had to like take the pen and put the magnetic shards on his face.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Willie, was it Willie Fuzzy Willie or something?
Yeah.
Willie.
No, Willie Fistigus. Yeah. So, all right. So we always like to make sure we get through Eric's pictures, especially when he sends them to us. And we don't see his screen being all dusty and dirty.
1,000.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did that hurt your feelings? I didn't think you were sensitive about that. I thought that you could laugh at that. My mistake. You did like some of the way that Red Guardian episode ends, where he's like the gym teacher.
Coach.
Yeah. Oh, that was great. Yes. Yeah, there it is.
It would also Coach Bob Toledo giving me Jackie Daytona vibes. Yeah, no, I right there.
Yep.
Regular human bartender. Yeah. That was my Halloween costume. Oh, I am the Eminence.
Phantom Zone,
of course.
I just
voiceover for that. That was
the fact that you needed to have like a JPEG from behind the song episode 79, and you didn't just grab the 45 for Eminence front.
But it was hard to read that. I'm thinking about our visual audience. I don't care what you say. The egg is fabulous. The fact they created an egg, fabulous. The fact they had sex.
I want to know how the egg was pushed out, though.
or
by which one?
Probably.
Where was it pushed out?
Let's just assume C-section and move on. How about that? That's just fine with me. We don't need to
not
do
where
maybe they flipped her over easy.
Hey, there was one great line.
You go back to the duck jokes.
There was actually one great line from this episode I wrote down, and I apologize, I don't remember. Wherever you get the soul stone.
Wait, say it one more time.
Go ahead, start over. Yeah. We lost you.
Yeah. Sorry about that. At one point they were looking through the what to do at this resort and saying, we could do cliff diving at whatever the name of the place is.
Yeah, Vormir.
Yeah. They say bring someone you love.
Yeah, I did think that was funny. I forgot about that because that was nice. Yeah, look, there's moments. Hey, and like we got Michael Rooker, we got Yondu, so it's like the
star of what was it?
Mallrats. No, Mallrats. He's a star of Mallrats.
Henry
Also,
Portrait of a
Walking
Serial
Dead. He was
Killer.
Merle.
Oh,
Yes,
there
he
you go.
was.
This image
so-
I thought was cool. Actually, the
That was
world
cool.
exploded, and literally they're living on pieces of the world.
That was wild.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm very upset by this. Dana Drew says I watched the most recent Lego Marvel special, and in that Frank Castle runs a workout studio, and he does have the XD.
Yes.
That was
Daniel, that might have happened, but
Disney XD.
I will never know because I will never ever watch that. This is something that I have no interest in Frank Castle running a dance studio, but I'm glad that you enjoy it. A little while ago, our buddy Ivan Soto was talking sort of about this team of Watchers versus the Watchers from Fringe. I loved that show, but the concept of Watchers had been done like 50 years earlier. But J.J. Abrams has been known to borrow things once in a while. But all right, wait a minute. So the Lego special has D-Man. Goddamn. All right.
I think I know what Christian's watching tonight.
What does D stand for?
D's nuts.
There it is. Oh my God.
You know what? I was gonna say more, but I feel like we just
you full on shouted that and then searched for the bell.
My dog in the other room just exploded.
What else could we possibly say after that? So our next episode, I won't lie, will be it'll be on Friday, but it'll have been recorded already. We're going to be gearing up for Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man by reviewing all of the past Spider-Man series, and we'll talk about our favorites. I have a fairly unlikely one that most people have not seen, but it was tremendous. And we will talk about my first Spider-Man series, which was Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. And boy, that 60s one sure is great for memes. So we'll talk about all that. And then, when we come back with a live episode, I think, we're not going to cover Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man the way we did with X-Men 97, but we are going to talk about it each week and hopefully tie it into something overall. And we are already less than a month from Brave New World. And the TV spot was released today. It wasn't different enough, and we were already showing Daredevil. But tickets are now available, and I know that Daniel Drew already has his tickets. Eric, I think we might have to recreate Valentine's Day from last year, where we saw Madam Web, and it'll be great. Yeah, see, I knew that. I bought my tickets. And correct me if I'm wrong, Daniel. Did I get the title of that wrong? I believe it's Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, but maybe it's got a different title. That's the new ongoing weekly Spider-Man animated series on Disney Plus, which when it was first announced, it was going to be tied into the MCU. It is not. I already know that there are some very significant differences, but I think that when you work in the framework of Spidey, there's great storytelling to be told. So I'm excited, and that's correct. That's for me. Oh no. The popcorn bucket is cool looking for Captain America. I hope it's not at all like the Wolverine bucket. You know what?
I hope it is.
We'll You would, Katie. You would.
It's Giancarlo Esposito's half a head from Breaking Bad.
Oh,
That's the popcorn bucket I need.
No, it's the leader. It's the leader's head, and it's this big. It's a huge bucket of popcorn, like his head.
It's just Howard the Duck.
It is.
It is
pate.
Just Howard the Duck. So, all right. Well, we'll look at that as that gets closer, and I feel like we'll get a few weeks worth of content out of that. But really, what it comes down to is, I know everyone in America is going to be asking, what does Husey think of Brave New World? And we'll find out. It's
a fucking sham. It's about an American. Who the hell cares about an American? It's a sham. It's a piece of it's shite.
Okay, now try that again.
Is what it is.
Try that again, but after 12 Guinness, and then it'll be a little closer.
Who cares about it?
And try an accent.
It's a shite.
Yeah, it's a pretty.
You think?
Decent. It's all right. So, in any case,
I nailed it.
I'm always excited when we get new Marvel stuff. What if, just in general, something I have liked here and there. It really went out with a whimper, but it sure did look pretty. So let us know in the comments where you disagree, or you can find me on social media at Christian DMZ. Katie Hampton, where can you be found?
You can always find me at El Sassy Pants, written down there. If you're listening, it's ELSASSYPANTS, sometimes with a Z. You can also, right now, just released when we started this podcast, is an episode of A-List Casting called 50/50. I believe him in. And that can be found on YouTube. So go check out A-List Casting.
And of course, your tremendous show, Napping Through Happy Hour, can be found, but really everyone should look for the episode with me, right? I mean,
yes, really of course. That one came out very recently. Brody and Eric, we're going to have you guys on. You can also check out a great new podcast that I'm doing with Matthew Kelly that Eric is actually on, called Christian Cringe. And we review...
Wait a minute. It's about all the cringe things that I've done in my life and career. That's embarrassing.
Specifically the 90s and early 2000s. But yeah.
You're gonna have to expect those episodes to get demonetized. But no, explain what Christian Cringe really is.
Christian Cringe is where Matt Kelly and I go through all of the early or late 90s and early 2000s content that we were exposed to for Christian content, including video games, music, and movies. It's a lot, and it's overwhelming to remember how much that was part of my life. So I definitely recommend that. It's a lot of fun.
Do you discuss Jars of Clay?
Oh, we will. Yeah.
Okay.
DC Talk has come up quite a bit.
I would have actually guessed that Christian Cringe would actually just be sitting and listening to every Creed song in sequence and reacting to it. But
Striper,
have you already done? Have you done a whole episode on Veggie Tales, or is that
we have done? But we will do more Veggie Tale episodes. Absolutely.
David and Goliath.
We did the video game Exodus with Eric, which was a very fun one and an odd one too. But yeah, we one of the best episodes I would say is when we tricked my husband Mark Hampton into believing that this was a 90s grunge podcast, but really we were trying to trick him into talking about Reliant K and religion. So highly recommend.
Reliant K, hadn't thought about that in a moment. Eric Conner, Eric the Duck, where can you be found?
Well, me and Dee's Nutsack can be found together. Tab Eric Conner. By the way, I'm sorry. Hats off to my wife, who I don't lie to about grunge, and
she handled your sack.
She passed me my nutsack. She shared my nutsack with me.
Fantastic! I need to know where you got that, dude.
Well, she's had it since she got married.
You're telling me. Cat Eric Conner, Instagram. I'm still at X, though probably not for long, and might not be at Facebook for long either. And
don't look for his TikTok. Let's put it that way.
Listen, I don't think you're gonna have to look at TikTok much longer.
I think it'd be okay. I think we'll be okay.
I think it'll be all right. So, Mr. Brody, where can you be found?
Well, first of all, I think this is new, right? That the names are up on the screen on the Geekcast. That's new. Very excited about that. You could find Matt Kelly. You can find me here at David Brody on all your social media. Matt Kelly. You can find me right here on Geekscape, on the Blattcast, on Brooklyn Boys podcast, on the Walkers and Talkers podcast, on a soon-to-be new podcast, which we can't announce yet.
Not that soon.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not that soon.
Not that soon. We started in 2023. It hasn't aired yet.
That's all right. One day. Yeah.
Yeah.
The way that you're trying to get Matt Kelly to call you, it reminds me of a great Saturday Night Live sketch, which was the Celebrity Psychic Friends Network. And it was the first time I ever saw anyone do an impression of Christopher Walken. And it was the great Jay Moore. And it was him and Todd Bridges. And so the phone's not ringing. And he's like, why aren't you calling? Todd Bridges and I will come to your house. Call us right now. Yeah. I haven't thought about that sketch in probably 30 years. But anyway,
30 minutes.
So it's basically the same thing. In any case, I can be found on social media at Christian DMZ. I'm not leaving any of them. They have to turn the lights off like they might do with TikTok. And you can find my projects, the Blattcast, BLADTCAST, is where you can find all of those episodes over there. Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Along with my buddy Eric Zane, we do Who Are These Broadcasters on the Who Are These Podcasts network, and that you can find it on their YouTube channel. It's also an audio podcast. We had what I felt was one of our best episodes ever this past week. Because we focused on a lot of the media of covering the fires here in Los Angeles. And if you haven't seen Steve Guttenberg trying to explain to people how to not abandon their cars, but please leave the keys so that he can move their cars, it's some of my favorite video. We also shared an interview with Corey Feldman from $2 Late Fee, which is there were gems to be found there. And as we go, I want to mention that you can find the fundraiser for our buddy Dustin from $2 Late Fee. He and his wife Erin did indeed lose their home, and it's where they had their recording studio, which is how they earn their living. So if you want to take a look at that, you can, of course, obviously visit over there, and it's Geekscape Gives is the easy URL for it, is the way to find that. Anyway, we'll be talking animated Spidey next week, and then we'll continue talking animated Spidey with the new show. So that's all the time we have for now. As the great Stan Lee would say, Excelsior!